And the answer is, it says no, Governor Inslee's directive prohibits all gatherings, public and private. However, many places of worship are offering services over the internet, which obviously would be us. It says you can work with your leaders or other community members to provide services online. Our denomination has asked for clarification, very specific clarification on what this means, but our simple understanding of this is what we've been doing with a lot of precautions we are allowed to do. And so I want to explain that we will continue to provide online content, services, devotionals. We will have a very minimal crew that will be here throughout the day. And the same precautions that I've had our guests do tonight is what every staff person that ever enters this building, no matter what it is, will do. We check the person's temperature. We have that digital thermometer that allows us to check the temperature at a distance from someone. We ask them, are they feeling well? And then we get them to sign off that they feel healthy before we even allow them in the building. And I want to let you know that we sterilize everything. And what I just described is exactly what we had our guests do. So every time we have someone here, or we've had someone here, we've sterilized the microphone, all of the chairs, everything. So we want you to know that we are taking every precaution we can, and we are honoring what our governor has asked of all of us. But continue to check out our Venture Church Facebook page, our website, or our YouTube page, and we will continue to have, hopefully, encouraging, hopeful, distracting content. That being said, I want to let you know that Joe Castleberry, who is the president of Northwest University, he is running a little bit late, so I'm actually going to interview him by himself in about 20 minutes. But beforehand, I want to introduce you to our guests. I'm actually going to start all the way over there. And why don't you introduce yourself, Brian, and say who you are and what you do. This is the busiest man I know.
Thanks, Brandon. I'm Brian Holtzko. I attend church with my wife, Amy, and our two sons. We live about a 3-iron away from the church over here in Brighton. By day, I'm general counsel for Village Life. It's a small family-owned home building company based in Linwood. We employ about 35 people. As part of that, this year I'm also the board president for the Master Builders Association of King and Snohomish counties. And at night, I'm a city council member for the city of Mill Creek.
So you have lots of spare time.
Tons.
All right. And then to my left, I think you both need to introduce yourself.
Okay. My name's Nathan Gibson. I'm a CPA here in Linwood. I work with at a small practice. It's named by the owner, John J. Hogney. And yeah, here in Linwood, don't live that too far away. And so this is also, my community.
My name is Lindsay Gibson, and this is my husband, so that's why we get to sit so close. We have 2 daughters, and I own Salon Zuberance in Linwood, Washington. We have currently 19 employees, and then I make 20, but not technically an employee.
So Lindsay, I'm going to start with you. Will you describe what recently happened to your business?
So recently, we were shut down. I don't even know what day it is anymore. It's so crazy. It all happened so fast. We had between 12 and 14 hours to shut down the business, call all of our clients. It took us days to try to get a hold of everybody, and then rescheduling them, but we didn't even know when we could reschedule them to. So we rescheduled them to the end of April, not even thinking we could book anymore at the beginning, and now, we just had to do it again because we're pushed out another week.
So how did your employees respond?
Honestly, amazing. I have such an incredible team. We were together. Everybody came into the salon within hours of learning this, and we were in the back room, and we were meeting, and we were talking, and we have a group text that's just going and going, and we are working so hard to keep each other connected and happy and positive. And so far, we've been able to maintain that.
So I'm assuming, since you're the CPA in the two, that you probably handle the business finances.
That's correct.
So what type of impact is this going to have on you guys?
As Lindsay was mentioning, because of the way small businesses are structured, usually the owner is exempt from state unemployment. And so with the business shut down, it means that all Lindsay's income is come to a halt. As a CPA, we're prudent about our savings as far as like covering fixed costs, but big concerns of like how are we going to make sure that employees are taken care of that might not be getting unemployment.
So you're helping your employees with those things?
Yeah, I know that's really the first thought that you, as a business owner, that runs through your head is like, I'm not really worried about myself right now. I'm worried about you and then everybody else. And then you start to stop and think about, okay, how's this going to impact personal finances?
So you guys obviously have a building space that you lease. I don't want to put you on the spot by asking this question, but are you getting any lease assistance, or is this just going to be something that you're going to have to pay for out of your personal savings for a couple months here?
As of right now, we're getting no assistance on our lease. I reached out and requested any help possible and was denied. So at this point, I have to decide what I'm going to do because I only have so much in savings, and I need to make sure I'm smart with where I spend it.
From the personal finances perspective, I began the process of requesting through my loan provider, basically like either a mortgage abatement or interest only. We just started the process just recently, so we haven't heard anything back on that. But we're contacting all of our vendors, trying to slow down the bleeding per se. Some vendors are they're just Johnny on the spot and say, yeah, no problem. Our car payment, they said, call us beforehand. We can push back a car payment for you. Utilities are all saying, we can come up with a method to either you won't pay this time, then we'll spread out that payment over the course of the remaining payments. Or so we've had multiple different things. It's usually the mortgage and your lease that are the hardest ones, but we're still relatively early and we're not behind yet. So we haven't come to our first mortgage payment. We haven't come to our lease. But most of the time, the advice is you want to go and try to deal with these things before your problems get really, really bad. So we're just being proactive and trying to get ahead of the game.
So you did an interview. I listened to your radio interview. It was excellent. They asked you to give advice to other small business owners. Do you just kind of want to recap really quickly? Because watching this, we have a number of business owners in our church that are probably experiencing something similar or are about to experience something similar as of midnight tonight. And what advice would you give them?
My advice is not to panic. I know it is a lot of things like going on right now, and the first thing everybody's like, you don't know what you don't know, and that's what causes a lot of fear. So in my interview, I mentioned that, I was kind of disappointed that the first thing that came out was about SBA loans, which is a debt option for continuing things. And my fear was that for small business owners that they would just rush to it because it's the first thing that's available, and it's to try to quell, the toilet paper frenzy. Like everybody, like, why are you getting toilet paper right now? So if everybody goes and runs and grabs SBA loans and without any prudent planning, like looking at what's going to happen after things come back, some people are going to just lose revenue.
Yeah.
Other people, the revenue is probably backpiling. Like, in the salon situation, people's hair doesn't stop growing. So there's an expectation that there will be some sort of comeback rush.
Yeah.
That it's hard to plan, but if you're gonna take out SBA loans, you got to look like, can I service this loan with reduced revenue, or how is my revenue going to look like? So that was my for that interview. That was my biggest.
You made a great statement in that interview, proving that I listened to it, where you basically said if you were a business that was struggling before this when so many other businesses weren't, that it's really unwise to take a loan now to help you navigate through this in the future. I thought that was some really great advice.
Yeah, and there was one other piece that I didn't get to mention in that one was there are probably a lot of small business owners. We have one up in Marysville that Lindsay's joining forces with that is just getting started. Mm-hmm. You're kind of in a gray area where those people who are just getting started on business, in your first 3 to 5 years of a business, you're usually losing money. You're just trying to push your way through that, and I can only imagine for those business owners that you're like, hey, I'm not making profit yet, but I was on a trajectory to be doing really good here. So there's a little bit, I have to give the caveat, like if you're a small business owner and you weren't making money beforehand, maybe an SBA loan might be okay. But, hopefully, there's Trump and Congress and everything is working together to try to get stuff out to us. And, as a CPA, I'm trying to digest that stuff as fast as I possibly can, so that I can get the knowledge out to my clients and to Lindsay and to others.
Yeah. Before I kind of transition to Brian here, you have an opportunity to look at all of your friends and family in the church. I would say, first off, we're all in this thing together, and we're for you guys, and we're praying with you, believing with you. But what would you say to your friends and family that they could do to help you guys in this season? We'll start with Lindsay. We're going to ask Lindsay a lot more questions. She loves this.
Great. I have had so much support that I'm going to try not to get emotional, which is one of the reasons I don't like doing this stuff. But for me, this is still unreal. I still can't believe this is actually happening, and not knowing what's coming is terrifying. But I've received just random texts from people saying, I'm praying for you, I'm here if you want to talk, and that's incredible. So just hearing that, and then all the clients that want to come in and buy gift cards and buy products from us, it's just, there's so much love coming in.
Yeah.
So I think thank you for that, because that's what makes going through this worth it.
Anything you want to add to that? Tell all your friends?
I thank everybody for the support, and every single day I just think about Lindsay and all the girls that are at the salon, and then all the small businesses, like, especially you don't realize how many of us actually have our businesses where we can't go work from home until they tell you go work from home, and how much of our economy runs off of that. And so, I think that the people I would tell everybody is keep supporting your small businesses, and lean on your family, lean on your church family, lean on God, and like you said, we'll all get through this together.
So I'm going to put you guys on the spot. I'll start with Nathan. So if there's people from our church that they need some financial advice in this, can they message you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And what if, Lindsay, there's some other maybe business owners, people that are relating to what you're going through, and just having somebody that they can talk to about this, connect with, kind of mutually encourage each other. Are you comfortable with them reaching out to you?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. That's one of the biggest things that we want to encourage you to do is network, connect. Let's be the church. And again, Nathan Gibson, Lindsay Gibson, you can find them on Facebook and message them, encourage them, or message them to get encouragement from them. I'm going to transition to Brian.
Brandon.
My first question for you is, what is the city council? You serve on our Mill Creek City Council. What is our city council saying about all of this?
Well, we just had our first meeting since everything hit 2 nights ago. We hadn't met for 2 weeks, and so it's a little bit of an adventure because we had our first meeting, virtual meeting. I'm not sure what the app was, GoToMeeting, I think. So that was a little bit of an adventure, having 7 council members on video and having the public participate by phone as well, calling in. So we're adjusting. I mean, City Hall is shut down. The staff is working remotely, except for pretty much the city manager and the finance director and the police force. The good news is our police force is all healthy, knock on wood somewhere. So we're at full staff. We've started to close down the parks. As you've probably seen, if you walk around town, you see the yellow tape up around the play equipment to try to keep the kids off. And we've shut down our passport service, which right now doesn't really make a big difference because no one's exactly traveling very much. So we're adjusting. I mean, we're just like everyone else. It's all new and we haven't encountered this before. So we're trying to figure it out as we go.
So you wear these different hats, and so I'm going to keep your city council hat on for a little bit. Talking to our city, talking to anybody from our church that might be a part or anybody from our community that might watch this, what advice would you give them about compliance to the shelter in home?
That's a good question because I don't know the answer to that because I'm not sure who's ultimately responsible for enforcing that. That's one thing we did not talk about at our meeting the other night is I don't know that there's been any directive given to local law enforcement to be policing this. So I'm not sure what the answer to that is.
You had mentioned that you were riding your bike and you saw groups of people together and you kind of had some thoughts on what might be safe for that.
Well, yeah, I was just out riding before I came here, and I noticed, not necessarily in the city, but east of the city over by Willis Tucker Park and along Puget Park Drive, it's mainly kids. I mean, there's a lot of people out and about, which is great, but there's lots of groups of kids, 3, 4, 5 kids walking around, just shoulder to shoulder, and I wanted to stop and say, guys, space out, spread apart, this is serious. So I'm not sure that all of our youth fully recognize the significance and importance of what's going on right now.
Yeah, and the more that we recognize that, abide by it, the shorter this will be for all of us.
That's what we hope.
So, from your city council perspective, what things can we, even as a church community, do to help our city and to support you guys in this time?
I think it's no different from the city than it is for any of our businesses or any of us personally. Just stay at home. If you stay at home, you reduce the issues that we have as a city to deal with. And like you said, the sooner we all comply and stay home, hopefully we'll kill this virus off and we'll be back to some new normal sooner rather than later. But just let's all stay home.
Let's stay home. Putting on your other hat.
Yeah.
So I would say you're attorney working for that family business. Are you guys able to, under this directive, are you guys able to keep working? Are you an essential business still?
Well, we thought we were until about 5 o'clock this afternoon. There is language in the order that came out on Monday that we thought allowed construction activity to continue, and so we were prepared to, and our vendors, our trades were all ready to keep rolling until, but there's been some lack of clarity in the last 48 hours, and unfortunately the governor came out with this clarification that basically told us to shut down. So I guess he's given us tomorrow to lock up our sites and get them safe and secure, but up until 5 o'clock, we were planning to continue pounding nails and building houses.
So I don't want to put you in an uncomfortable setting, and I've already told you if I ask anything that you don't feel comfortable answering, you let me know. But does this directive apply to all construction trades?
I'm not sure what you mean by all construction trades. There's certain public works projects that would be allowed to proceed. That was one of the things we were talking about at the council meeting. We have several projects that we've approved contracts and approved the bids. For instance, we're going to be repaving Seattle Hill Road here from 35th over to Village Green Drive this spring and summer. We've got to decide whether or not we want to start that project. We don't want to start it and then find out this continues and goes on and have a road half torn up for a good part of the year, people to drive over. So there is some construction, but in terms of residential construction or commercial buildings being built, from what I haven't read the order yet, but from what I've been told about it, it's shutting everything down for 2 weeks.
So like if we have someone who owns a small construction company, they do home remodels, something like that, they should probably be really aware of what they're allowed to do and not allowed to do.
Yeah, my understanding this it applies to remodelers. The exception would be, I think there's language that gives if there's structural integrity issues with the house. So, for instance, if we had a windstorm and a tree came down in your house, you're going to be able to call your contractor and have them come out and fix your house to make sure it's stable and safe to live in. But in terms of starting new construction or ongoing remodel projects, is my understanding the order stops at a halt tonight at midnight.
Do you know how this affects the project that's happening at the end of 35th right now?
Well, at our meeting, we were talking about Tuesday night that we thought it'd be going forward under our original understanding of the order, but that has changed since 5 o'clock this afternoon. So I assume they will be shutting down starting tomorrow and locking up that site.
And I would just say, just adding on to what Brian said, if you're one of our contractors in our church, new information is coming out moment by moment, and please be aware of what the regulations are for you and if you fall into the essential category or not. Kind of wearing both hats, I would just say, how can we help you? How can we as a church family support you, support your family during all of this?
You know, we're pretty fortunate in the position we're in, and our business is totally different than yours. I mean, we're building houses. We're not dependent on customers coming in every day. And so we are benefiting right now from our spring sales season really started the first week of January this year, really early. So we had a lot of sales early in the first 2 months of the year. So that allowed us to build up a little bit of a cushion. So, you know, we're just now, as of today, dealing with the ramifications of not being able to work for 2 weeks. So our main issue is not getting customers in the door. It's being able to get the houses that we have under contract finished and sold. So, you know, we're probably going to be 2 or 4 weeks behind where you guys are in making decisions of how you handle this with your employees and what steps you have to take to get through this, not knowing how long this is going to take. So we're in an okay position for the time being, but we'll see what things look like in 2 or 4 weeks.
So same question I kind of asked them afterward at the end. If people need advice, they need encouragement, are you comfortable with people messaging you?
Sure, I can't give legal advice. I'm not in private practice, but I'm happy to talk with people, absolutely.
So they could even ask you as a member of the city council what's happening and different things?
Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm here for as a city council member, is to answer people's questions. So yeah, definitely if you have questions about what's going on with the city, or if you see something's going on that you don't think should be happening, yeah, please contact me.
So whichever one of our staff is moderating this, if you could link all 3 of their names in the comments below, that would be really helpful. And again, we want to network and encourage each other. Couple last questions, then we'll be done. And again, I really do appreciate you guys, and I know everybody's kind of scrambling to lock down their homes right now, and so you are coming in and doing this really does mean a lot, and I appreciate you being willing to. What is your hope for how this all ends? Start with Brian and work our way.
I guess my hope is it ends sooner rather than later. I was telling people at work today, on a conference call, I wasn't in at work. This has been weird for me because I went through in the housing industry the Great Recession. That was really hard. I mean, that our old company got driven into bankruptcy. We got sued by the bankruptcy trustee. I got personally sued by the bankruptcy trustee, and it went on seemingly forever. But we made it through it. And this has been weird because I'm not stressed about it, because I know there's going to be an end, and I think the end's going to be a lot sooner than we all think, as long as we follow these orders and stay at home and take the precautions we need to take. So I'm optimistic. Maybe I'm being naive, but it's going to, no doubt about it, it's going to be hard for a couple weeks or months, and we're diving into a recession, no doubt, but we're going to bounce out of this, I think, pretty quickly once we're through it.
Okay.
So stay at home so we can get through it sooner rather than later.
I claim all that in Jesus' name. Nathan, what about you? What's your hope?
Well, he stole my number one priority of it getting quickly, but I think that everybody is. I was talking with Di before we sat down here about what things are already changing in our heads, and I think that although we are having to distance ourselves, we're kind of also coming together in order to get over this. So I hope that as we start to work our way through and get the all clear, that everybody can remember those memories of coming together and getting through things together, because that's what's going to help us, avoid deep recessions biggest hope is, we get through this quickly. We can get back to shaking each other's hands when we walk through the door, and that we just remember the closest.
Yep.
So besides the obvious, I hope all small businesses make it through and that we thrive despite that that everything's kind of not going that direction. But one thing that has struck me through all of this is the amount of people who are out walking. And I see a lot of husbands and wives out walking and parents with their kids. And so my hope is that this is an opportunity for those relationships to repair and strengthen, and that even after this is over, that would continue, because that could be the silver lining in all of this. I mean, think about how many people could come closer together through what's happening.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of family game nights in the next 2 weeks. I would say my hope beyond anything is that we come out of this the other side. It happens quickly. Everything revives, the economy, everyone's businesses, but I hope most of all it makes everyone appreciate the time they have together more. And I'm excited for our church to see our church kind of, I would say, develop into a really large family versus just be a bunch of people that come together for services and have connection to me or someone on my staff. I'm excited to see us all kind of help each other and support each other through that. I want to say one last thing to any business owners that may be watching. I hope you are reading up and following this CARE Act. I don't know, I've been talking to you, so I don't know if this has formally been approved yet, if it's moved forward, and it needs to be passed by the Senate and several other steps. But this is our government coming together to help you. And there's specifically a lot of provisions in it for businesses under 500. I have been in multiple meetings with accountants and different people today discussing this and how it will help the church navigate through. And so I just want you to know that there's help out there, that people care. They want your business to thrive. They don't want you to have to lay off employees. And they're going to help, and hopefully very soon. So please be reading up on that. Thank you guys for watching. In probably about 5 minutes, I'm going to play an interview that I will do live with Joe Castleberry, who's the president at Northwest University, and get some interesting comments and feedback from him. Thank you guys. I'm praying for you. Don't forget, hope starts here.